Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvadvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme precept. Yoga Vasishtha in Utpatti Prakarana, and we are dealing with this section 111. And the topic is, same old topic, mind. How to unmind the mind. Maneva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. All the bondage and release for the soul depend upon the mind. The entire world experience is the magic of your mind. Is your iPad. Not a small eye, a big eye. An iPad is not, is outside of you. It's not, you're not confined into the iPad. Let's get into deeper meanings. O Rama, renounce the thoughts of the objects and the mind will be annihilated. This is a brief statement of what I said through the allegorical way. Renounce your iPad. Try to imagine the state of deep sleep when your iPad has been covered by a blanket. The moment iPad has moved away, all the world that you have heard about, past, present, future, and the vast knowledge of stars, how millions of light years it takes to journey to the star. And it takes millions of insight to understand even how does a flower blossom. And all the politics and the history of the world. All that becomes possible by your iPad. When you are in deep sleep, all moves away. And miracles, you miss nothing. Because you don't really belong to anyone else. All that has not made any change in your deeper essential nature. You are just the same. Discover that I am and move away from this illusory I am. Your illusory I am is not friendly with you, it doesn't stay with you. The moment you go to deep sleep, it moves away. And when your nervous system becomes deranged, this I am that gets confused, looks at relatives and says, who are you? And this I am, ego I am, that ego I am is extremely fickle, constantly changing from childhood up till now. How many changes have occurred? How much has occurred in your ego level? And basic point to understand that it's a constant illusion. However, from practical point of view, in order to attain enlightenment, promote sattvic ego. Sattvic ego inspires you to do virtuous deeds, be good to others, develop goodwill for others. Do not conquer hatred by hatred, but by quality of your heart, by goodness. When you develop that type of, when that ego comes, that inspires you to cultivate virtues, do good karmas, then that ego plays the role same as Vibhishana did in the Ramayana. Vibhishana had two stages. At one stage, he considered himself younger brother, and he has brotherly relation with Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Ravana is a rajasic ego. Kumbhakarna is tamasic ego. And sattvic ego stays connected with them. But if sattvic ego moves further, then think of the role of Vibhishana. He was kicked out by his brother. And where did he go? He went to Rama. So you don't have to wait until you are kicked out. Through your sattvic ego, go on developing love of God. And go on recognizing that all that you experience is sourced by God. God is pure consciousness. All that ego experiences is a kind of mirage. So, keeping that in view, think of the self. Promote awareness of the self. And let your mind flow on to the self. Easily said, but you have to. These are profound statements. Thus practice Atma Samvedan, awareness of Atma versus awareness of mental projections. Put it in very simply, watching a cinema show. You lose awareness of the screen. The great fact that the screen is what we are watching. Projections are not the reality. But you lose that awareness. Your awareness is what projections bring about to your mind. And whatever projections create is apparent phenomenon, something that is not real, like mirage. But when your mind is fascinated by projections, that state of experience is called Vishaya Samvedan. You are being aware, constantly aware of the world, of time, space, causation. The world that is being experienced in three stages: practical reality, physical body, physical objects, physical possessions. The world that you experience in your sentiment level, feeling, even that world is profoundly related to the physical world you experience, because your sentiments are, say for example, you are separated from someone, or you are by the airplane, by the airport waiting for someone. That someone is in the plane. But when you are waiting, your sentiments are trying to connect with that person. And the sentiments have much bigger realm. And you can figure out. I don't want to go into that. It's easy. That's what everybody experiences. Mind plays games. You begin to slight delay in the plane. Something has happened. The plane is hijacked. And so forth. So many imaginations. But the world of imagination is much more intense than the world of physical reality. And world of another, your intellectual evaluation, how you understand, that's still profounder. All these three worlds you experience on the basis of your ego, bad. That's bad. And if you bring change in your ego, it becomes sattvic. Devotion enters into it. And you begin to enjoy love of God. All the three worlds change. Physical world begins to open up windows through which you see something you never saw before. In other words, the world becomes inspiring. How much inspiration? That will depend. But progressively, not only your relations, but even animals, birds, flowers, buds, leaves, all become interesting and inspiring. That's what we say, Bhusanyastamaya. The physical world, you have renounced. The renounce doesn't mean you cut it out completely. You begin to understand it is divine at its base. All names and forms, the reality behind them is that absolute self. And likewise, you begin to understand the role of your feelings. Lots of feelings of different types. But you allow your bhavana, feeling is called bhavana. Allow your bhavana to become sadbhavana. It becomes more purified. You understand that whatever loving from the world is actually just like whatever you are experiencing, illuminations in the world, is actually the sun. Whatever you are loving in the world, all forms of love are radiations of love of God. And go further. Whatever you are intellectually understanding, the intellectual evaluation of all things, the intellect in human being operates like blind men studying the elephant. As long as your mind has not entered into samadhi level, intellect works in a very superficial manner. Intellect brings so many data, forget which data you are in. Get immersed in data. Who told? What one did he tell? When a person told, how were his lips? So many data. But intuitive knowledge goes beyond all data. We look at the elephant, it's the elephant. One simple awareness. But here I'm not talking about elephant, I'm talking about pure awareness. Atma Samvedan. Atma, the self, that is the reality. It is that which is expressing through your realm of understanding. So many insights you are gathering. Behind that, just like behind projected images, the screen is there. Behind all that intellectual quality and its functions, pure consciousness. Behind all your feelings, pure consciousness. Behind all your practical realities, pure consciousness. If that type of insight begins to open up, now you enjoy Atma Samvedan in 3 levels. Look at the world as expression of God. God behind Ghat mein hai Sai Ramta. The whole world is permeated by God. Every human being is indwelt. God dwells in every individual. All names and forms are appearances sustained by God. So the world becomes a channel to inspire you, turn your vision from the projections to the screen. The screen that becomes, in projected world, the screen becomes the tables, the chairs, the houses, the villages, the forests, or whatever. It is a screen that becomes all human beings, animals, birds. It is a screen that becomes all dimensional experiences, giving it, highlighting something of a very profound sentiment or shallow sentiment. The screen brings all this, but human mind is watching the projections, forgetting about the screen. Try to develop that state, that in all your experiences, a divine touch is oozing from your deeper source. This is very easily said, but that's the ideal. That's a reality. No matter what you experience, even the most miserable state of mind, you are experiencing it on the basis of awareness. If you are sensitive to spiritual dimension, you can walk out of your miserable state and watch Sakshi Bhavana. And question yourself, what makes this real? Answer, awareness. Where does awareness come from? That's the reality. That's Satchidananda, Chaitanya. Very simple understanding. See your face reflected in a mirror. You are having 3 words reflected in a mirror. The physical, the sentimental. Why does my nose look like that? Intellectual, here turning gray. What does it mean? But what you have forgotten, all the time you are looking in the mirror. But forget your mirror. You got into all those. mentally fabricated imaginations. And mirror supported it. So that's called avidya, ignorance, maya. Mirror is always there. And what you are seeing has no problem. What you are seeing from a profound level of within your personality, that's pure consciousness. The seer. The seer has no problem. But through the mind, whatever you are experiencing are reflections. And reflections are never steady. They follow their own karmic law. So, we'll give you more insight as we pass on. By exercising your subtle intellect, first grasp the fact that Brahman is the reality behind all names and forms. First point is intellectually, that understanding called indirect knowledge. Indirect knowledge is important. Without it, you cannot have direct experience. So the purpose of study of scriptures is to gain indirect knowledge first. And as you go on gaining indirect knowledge, you are advancing in your sadhana, in your integration, until intuitional knowledge gives you the direct experience. Prior to direct experience, I am Brahman, you have to start dwelling upon I am Brahman. But you have to understand why I am Brahman. What's the nature of the world? Now, for intellectual understanding, the world is called prapancha. 5 factors go to form the world. Sat, Chit, Ananda, name and form. Sat is pure existence. Everyone wants to exist because Satchidananda is your essential nature. And that is expressing as urge to exist in every individual. All that are living beings, they want to exist. Everyone wants to know. All human beings, you cannot stay satisfied with things that you have gathered. Every day you wait for how the news breaking. And to gather more knowledge. And everyone wants to be happy. These 3 relate to your essential nature, Satchit Ananda. But Satchidananda has been veiled by mental projection, names and forms. Mind has created that drama. By names we mean mental concept. And form, practical reality. Say, for example, you bought a house. We look at the house, that's the form of the house. And in your mind, it is mine. I own this house. The house doesn't say you own it. So name and form. If name and form can be negated, then Satchidananda is your reality. That's your whole project. How to move away from the illusion of names and forms and realize I am Brahman. I am Satchidananda. Do not let mental agitation interrupt your spiritual movement. It is the absence of agitation that enables one to acquire lofty attainments. This again is a context is on a very profound level. Every attainment in the world creates mental agitation. Remember the Gita statement, Jyayato Vishayan Punsa Sangasteshu Pajayat. When you highlight in your mind, this is the object I want, and go on highlighting it, now we come to a stage of being bonded with the object. When you are bonded with the object, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Now there arises desire. Now desire is agitating your mind. Mind is entering into a state of agitation. Kamat krodho vijayate. When you desire the object, whether you attain it or don't attain it, in both ways, your mind is going to be agitated. When you attain it, you become elated. You are not yourself. Something big has happened. Sometimes people can't handle it, so they invite lots of people to share that excitement. And negative aspect, if you don't get it, then again, lot of sorrow enters the mind, and that also you share it. And all that's agitation. You are not really yourself. So do not let mental agitation interrupt your spiritual movement. It is the absence of agitation that enables one to acquire lofty attainments. If you overcome your mind, even victory over the three worlds will be as insignificant as a straw, quickly said. What we are being led to understand is in order to attain enlightenment, you go through three stages. Manonash. Your mind should not be constantly going back, past and future. Mind should not be swayed by pain and pleasure, raga and dvesha. Mind should enjoy serenity. Serenity brings you the flavor of what is real all the time. But when the mind is shaking, it's moving away from reality. All attainments of this world, as long as we are thinking of attaining, gaining, it's fruit of karma. And in this karmic movement, you are constantly backed up by a form of dull-wit understanding. The understanding that before I gained this prosperity, I was so poor and miserable. Now, it's a different matter. But then, if I gain more, I will be still better. So, you view worldly attainment, any attainment, as something that creates a change in your deeper level for the better. You live in a world where you don't have a deep substance that remains constant. You are constantly depending on change. The sky that is constantly depending on clouds, that means it's forgotten its essential nature. It has become a patch of blue. So, if the patch of blue were to gain all types of clouds and all colors, compared to its realizing I am the sky, all attainment is little, alpam. Now this gives you a key to developing profound vairagya, dispassion. Allow your mind to have a taste of God within you, Brahman within you. Once that taste develops, the idea of renouncing the whole world becomes as simple as plucking a flower or throwing a stick. Trinavat. But if you don't have that internal fulfillment by a Godward movement, then renouncing the world is just like looking at the big Himalayas mountain. And we were told, throw out every little of one, empty the Himalayas brick by brick, rock by rock. It's an impossibility. Vairagya becomes completely strenuous and remains impossible. But by developing that relation with God, which is paving the way to revelation of I am, because God is not different. The God within you is the I am Satchidananda. While attainments of earthly glory depend upon physical effort and painful labor, the attainment of mastery over the mind is brought about by the blissful process of understanding and enlightenment. These profound statements you can't find easily in the scriptures, these very condensed writings. So condensed, people read it and go further. What? What is being given here is two types of attainment. Earthly attainment is given in the Gita in the form of Dakshinayana movement, the southern course of the soul. And attainment of mastery over the mind is brought about by the blissful process. That blissful process is Uttarayana, the northern path of the soul. Let me give you just highlights of the path. Northern path, first to understand, every soul has three ways to go. One, attaining liberation. That's Uttarayana path. If you go that way, you are not coming back anymore. You find it is sad, then don't try it. Dakshinayana, the first path, when you have developed deep wisdom. I will give you more insight gradually. Next one, Dakshinayana, you have done a lot of virtuous deeds. But you have not focused on dissolving your ego. You have done all the deeds with the expectation that it will give you more happiness. If you stay in that level, then you are following the Dakshinayana movement, southern course. And if you have been completely dull wit and lived your life only to hurt others and hurt yourself, then you go through Yatana Marg, the path of hell, path of intense suffering after suffering without any repose. The message behind all that you should choose the Uttarayana, the northern path. If you are following the spiritual teaching in a right way, why should you follow the southern path? Now to understand more details, Uttarayana path means understand all pleasures of the world. They are Vishaya Samvedan. You are experiencing illusion, illusory objects. And therefore, develop a mind not to become dependent on objects, on relatives, on all types of anything outside of yourself. Don't become dependent. And how can it be done? First stage is a stage of effort. You must, by your own experience, avoid those things that dump your mind into negativity. But I'm talking on a little more mature level. Try to understand that if you love someone, you are loving God in that person. If you are lovable, God within you is lovable. So in every relation, bring a touch of God. And so much so that you do not stay dependent on anything. God is always there in your heart. If the whole world moves away, you are not a loser. So, that's how it starts. Uttarayana, Agni Jyoti, fire is Vairagya, Jyoti, Vivek develops more and more correct understanding. What's good, what's just pleasant. Pleasant, move away from it. Go after the good. Aha! Aha is really aha. No matter how things are, handle your daily life in such a way that it is purposeful. It should not be just a wastage. If you are upset by something and you close your door and stay in your house from morning till night, it's complete wastage. Not only wastage, you are creating negative karmas. On the other hand, evolve a style of life, no matter how things are. Blend in your daily life a little japa, a little meditation, a little yoga exercises, a little good chit-chats, little humor. Blend in such a way that life remains flavorable. And at least insist on being on the right track. And see your insistence growing more. That strength in you allows you to feel happier. But when you see yourself being defeated, and you constantly remember how you have been defeated, that's called Vishad. Vishad, pain. In other words, they use it, avasad. Mind sinking without having a nourishing taste. Nourishing taste is prasad. If you are living your day-to-day life in a rhythmic way, what's called integral yoga in daily life, in spite of the challenges, learn to wait, watch, learn to change, correct your mistakes, sublimate your vices, and do not stay with, oh, so much to do. Try to go on discovering He who does it, who created the whole world with just a switch in the finger. That He, that God, that Self is the source within you. So therefore, how to keep yourself reminded of God's presence? Satsanga, good deeds, acts of generosity. All this has to come in your life and you go on learning it. It's an artistic process. An artist doesn't get bored. But every achievement inspires you to do better art, more. So that type of movement is Uttarayana movement. Agni Jyoti, daily life becomes purposeful. Then comes another aspect, Shukla. Your feeling aspect is the most fascinating aspect, because that's where ultimately the root of awareness, or root fulfillment is in your heart. In your heart level, a relaxation enters. Moon begins to shine and wax. That's called Shukla Paksha. And when that is going on, your normal sphere of consciousness begins to open up and expand. That people don't understand. That potentiality is there in every individual. You are not just 5 feet or 6 feet or whatever. Think of the people who sport. They're not limited by their body limitation. This zeal that enters their heart, and the excitement and the energy that goes far beyond their little body. I'm not teaching you to go to sport, you see. But same type of potentiality is in every individual. And at times, your consciousness, limited consciousness, allows you to move a little on an expansion. When more sattva develops, you are not aware of your limitation. Your mind suddenly desires certain things. You need to go to New Zealand. Immediately your mind doesn't look at the body, how little am I? Where will I be in the plane? How stuck I will be? Etc. I'm joking. In other words, when a person begins to enter into samadhi, samadhi is that moving away from normal consciousness to an advanced revelation that works like expansion. Think of a bird confined to an egg. Think of the same bird coming out of the egg. Think of the same bird growing up and opening the wings. Think of it flying, soaring. How stages are completely different. Egg stage, soaring stage. Similar experience occurs in human consciousness. If you are confined, you are just like in eggshell. That's called shellfish. Fish in a shell. But you go on advancing, in comes Hamsa. That am I. I am Brahman. And this Uttarayana movement culminates in absolute revelation. Aham Brahmasmi. That's the ideal. That's the purpose behind all Yoga Vashishta. The other one, Tumo Ratri, Tatha Krishna, Shanmasha Dakshinayana. The other, if you have not taken this course, now you lived on the basis of enjoying the objects of the world. As time passes by, your mind is just dealing with how much you are missing those things that you used to enjoy. You have no other choice. The body has to age. You may be smart enough to make it very healthy and eat a lot of chawanprash and so forth. I'm not discouraging you from that. But while attending to the body, the more important point, attend to your mind, that it should start thinking about, I am Satchidananda. I am not body-based reality. Bodies can come and go, but I am immortal. That type of understanding allows you to pass on and live your life saras, with a joyous way. And you are constantly in a state of growing. And death is not viewed by you as something tragic. Rather, it is viewed by something very profound. Saint Kabira has sung how he waits. घूंघट कापट तोड़ दे मोहे तो पिए मिलेंगे. Remove the veil from your face. Death is removing the veil. You are going to join with the beloved God. Do not resign to the concept of destiny. The notion, I am this person, I am dying, I am born, I am alive. All these are expressions of ignorance. They are erroneous vision of the mind. The I am in you is not the ego. The self is neither born nor subject to death. Birth and death are imagined by the mind and erroneously superimposed upon the self. Profound point. The more you go on, focusing on that your life depends upon the body, and therefore each time you blow the candle out for your birthday, you count how long you have lived and how long more can you live. That way you are highlighting mortality. Mortality is not your reality. But since mortality has been highlighted so much that the mind is constantly under the terrorizing presence of death, Abhinivesh Klesha, that aspect, that fear must move away from your mind. Who should be afraid of you? Death. Not death frightening you, but you should frighten death. Think of a reflected sun. Reflected sun in a jar of water. If the jar breaks, it is death. But the reality of the reflected sun is the sun. Once the reflected sun knows that jar is not I am the sun. So even while living in the jar, don't go on banging on your head, how long am I going to live? How am I going to live? And don't go on emphasizing in your mind the misery people suffer from when they see their loved one depart. Don't interpret death as a source of constant sorrow. If that is so, every day you are going to get that. On the other hand, with Atma Samvedan, live in such a way that you are constantly aware of divine presence in two ways, bhakti and jnana. Devotional movement and an awareness, I am that. If these two fingers are assimilated, bhakti and jnana, then you are death unto death. And it's still more shocking news, death doesn't exist. So you don't have to fight it. And with this I will conclude. Om. And we'll conclude with prayer. Because a lot of misery goes on in the world, and let there be peace. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhave, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om.